Hello and welcome to Actual Play Band of Blades. I am Sean. I use he, him pronouns. I'm very excited to go on our second mission where things are going to get real exciting, I am sure. How about you, Jay?
I'm super excited. I'm a little scared actually for this next mission.
Yeah, you should be.
I'm Jay. My pronouns are he, him. What about you, Misha?
Hi, I'm Misha B. Pronouns are she, her. I'm BG Gameworks on Twitter, and I am excited because I got to make a bunch of characters, and it's always fun. How about you, Jen?
I am Jen Martin. I use she, her pronouns. I'm on Twitter at JenMartin80. And yeah, I got to write the tale of how bad we lost at Edmark Field. So I'm real excited. What about you, Strash?
So, as you folks will see, I am super pumped for this game. I actually spent the week thinking about it and rolling up missions and making stuff, resources for Roll20 and whatnot. So hopefully the excitement will pull us through. So let's start with, it's traditional that each game is opened by a story told by our lore keeper. And in this case, the story you folks will hear today is exactly the story that Jen's talking about, which is the story of how badly the Legion lost at Edmark Fields. In the future, we may hear some recaps, and then we'll dive right into games. So Jen, take it away.
Sure. So this is the tale of Edmark Fields. Recon told us to expect to be outnumbered 5-1 at Edmark Fields. It would be a challenge, but with Blackshot, it was odds we could beat. Recon was wrong. 50 undead for each one of us, a roiling, festering, moaning ocean of bodies. We had prepared a strategy, a plan, but what could we do? I saw a few rookies run when they saw Render, all 7 terrifying feet of him. I don't blame them. My squad was doing okay, better than many. We'd cleared out hounds and rotters, but then a gutsack charged in from out of nowhere. Soldier Neen Katu ran at it, knocking it over to save us, sacrificing herself to save me. We'd planned on getting married if we both survived the war. I will not let her sacrifice be in vain. I will carry the annals and never let her name be forgotten. I know now that we will never win against the Cinder King if we fight him head on. We expend our resources, and our dead only fuel him and his armies. We must find another way to extinguish his power.
Wow. That's some dark feels.
That's some dark feels. Yeah. The first person on the list.
Yeah.
I know they technically don't call.
Do I put that one on the list? I didn't get the impression.
You know what? You've named them, and they are important in a story. I feel like if the Legion is to remember their name, the names be told about them, you can put one name on the list. I think that's all right. I'm cheating a little, folks at home, but it's my prerogative.
Play it fast and loose here.
You write cool stories, you get one name. That's the rules.
I feel like it's appropriate.
I like that it's the first name on this lore keeper's list. I think that's real cool.
It's a person that you were planning to marry if you both survived the war. Damn. All right, let's have a chat here. So, folks who are viewing with us, folks at home, the last game ended with us doing a very quick back at camp scene. And so traditionally what that means is that is a launch into the campaign phase. And in order to do the campaign phase, everybody picks a role. So I'm just going to give a hot minute to everybody to introduce their role, and then we'll roll right through the campaign phase and just sort of like run through it. And we'll do a little bit of free play before we end up jumping into the next set of missions. So let's take it away. We of course start with the Legion commander. So Jay, do you wanna tell us a little bit about him real quick?
Oh, commander, my commander, sir.
I thought the commander. So she very narrowly escaped last mission, right?
Yep.
I think. Do I announce what the mission is? This mission? Or?
No. Just go ahead and tell us a little bit. Like, what is her heritage? Some of her traits. A word or two about her appearance, if you like. And then we'll just run through the list.
Gotcha. I don't know if we decided what her heritage was. I know she wasn't Barton because I was. I think... I'm pulling up my email. I don't think I decided what it was.
Yeah, but you get to pick now.
Well,
I do
if you
pick now?
if you want to pick now, you can go ahead and pick now, and we can ask some of the others, and then do the commander last but not least, if that's okay.
Let's go with Zemyati.
Oh, all right.
We got lots
Go
of
Zemyati.
all the Zemyati are in charge. So
Yep.
Wow.
Well, and I picked that looking at what we had, and I'm like, well, there's a lot of Zemyati there. That might mean something. So
there is, I think,
Interesting.
yeah.
I think currently she's probably haggard looking because she narrowly escaped, fell out of a tower. So I think she's kind of battered, a lot of bruised. I think she's kind of haggard. She might be coming to grips with, is this still her job, right? Is this still the thing she wants to do? So she's got that faraway stare happening. But everyone's looking to her to pull everyone together.
To lead us, to tell us where to go. Yeah.
Right. So
The
I
Western
think
Front is not a friendly place to hang out.
right. So she can't falter. She can't stumble or hesitate right now. Everyone's depending on her.
Awesome. Cool. Sean, do you want to tell us about the quartermaster?
Yeah, sure. The quartermaster. I'm going to switch over with magic, with OBS magic. Our quartermaster is also a Zemyati. He is. Let me pull up the version that I can actually view.
Whoa! Look at all that art.
I know, right?
Art.
That's from Jen. That was Jen's Pinterest board. I pulled that off of. Yeah,
Nice.
he is. His reputation is of being frugal, and that is because he is very resourceful. We'll see in our very first campaign phase how resourceful our quartermaster is, and he's also kind of distant and haughty. He keeps himself at a bit of a distance. He has to be able to tell people like, "Nope, sorry, you're not getting that aid you need," and he kind of does it by being a little distant, a little haughty, kind of laughs at things that maybe he shouldn't. And yeah, his look, as you could tell, his look is stylish. He has some nice things appointed to him, some dyes that he used to color his hair. But he's been around. He's served for a long time in Legion. He is grizzled as well. He's got lots of war wounds. And he has one non-Legion personnel, whose name is Viscount Alban the Mask, a mercy who never removes his mask.
Whoa!
Or many Orites wear masks. That's a normal thing.
They've actually very commonly do. They have very fanciful masks. As a matter of fact, mask makers are very highly prized in their society, and they often wear Venetian style masks instead of hats in their culture.
So, but this Orite never removes his mask. So that is our quartermaster and his personnel.
All right, Misha, you want to tell us about the marshal?
Sure. The marshal is Marquesa Caterina Spagnola.
Ooh, an all right.
She's an all right. She's protective and fierce, but she's always stylish and crisp in her look. So always neatly pressed and until you piss her off, in which case she goes all mama bear on you. So, what else would you like to know?
Tell me a little bit about her marshaling style. Is she like stern? Is she fair, stern but fair? Is she like aggressive? Like, how does she keep the troops motivated and in line?
She's like I said, she's very protective. So as long as you are listening, she is a little stern. But as long as you're listening and doing what she says, she's your best friend. You don't listen, then you're gonna have problems.
Understood. Wow, survivor of Edmark Fields, having seen Render with your own eyes. Jen, tell us about the Lorekeeper.
Well, the Lorekeeper is also Zemyati.
That's what I'm saying. We're so.
She has a reputation for being dedicated. They will pry this book out of her cold dead hands. Hopefully another Legion member will, and then carry the book and put her name in it. She is eloquent and curious, and her look is ink stained. So she's always got like ink on her fingertips, and maybe she like smears it on her forehead sometimes. And yeah,
that's awesome. Okay, so this is basically. Oh, let's get back. Jay, you never finished telling us about your traits. So have you picked them? Are you ready?
Yes, I did pick them, and I am ready. And I have a name.
Woohoo! Tell us about this.
So her name is Alika. I'm working out how the surname goes together. It's Koleovich.
Koleovna, if she's a lady.
Gotcha.
Koleovich would be a dude. That's all.
Gotcha. All right. She is unstoppable, stoic, but scarred.
Unstoppable is the single best trait I've heard so far. That's amazing.
Yep. I'm a fan of that one.
All right. I'll
And
take
she
it.
does not like to be called by her first name.
I mean, I assume that most people call her Commander, right?
That's correct.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, that is the appropriate name to call title to use.
That is correct.
Nice.
Awesome.
Love it.
Cool. So I'm gonna actually like run the bullet points here.
Mhm.
So the first bullet point is time passes. When time passes, time increases by 1 and pressure increases by 1, and the quartermaster has to spend one unit of food to feed the troops.
All right.
So Jay, I don't know if you noticed, but I made one of your time clocks appear on the map.
I did see that.
Okay, cool. So you can right click on it, click on that multi-sided, choose a side, and then you can drag the picker over by 1 to add a tick.
Nice.
Neat.
Very cool.
Oh, there it is. Look at that. Nice.
There you go. Okay, cool. So next up, so pressure increases by 1, time increases by 1, which you've done, and Sean, have you marked off a food?
I have marked off a food.
Excellent. Next up, we're going to do campaign actions. So quartermaster, would you like to do your campaign actions?
I have to ask our Marshall a question. Marshall, what is our current morale?
Our current morale is 10.
Excellent. I don't think it's 10 yet. I think it's 9.
It is actually.
Yeah.
What?
Or it's not yet. It's 9.
It's not
currently.
yet. It's 9
Oh,
right
yes.
now. Yeah.
So it was 7 to start with. So
And you gained 2 because the first mission boosted a lot of morale because you folks rescued the commander instead of.
right, and we are at 9.
Starting at 9. Awesome. Well, the first thing I declare is a little bit of liberty. Let's celebrate all of our successes in rescuing the commander, both Zora's offensive and all of the people that were with her, as well as our daring specialists who went into the belly of the beast to rescue the commander. Everybody, please clear 3 stress. So everyone who, if they want to remove 3 stress off their character, and our morale is going to go up 2, but it caps at 10. So now our morale is 10. Campaign action number 2, since our morale started as high, we had to leave so many of our provisions behind. If we don't start farming now, we'll starve during the winter. Medic Raya Manabar, since you're not going to be stitching any wounds together while your shoulder heals, I need you to research the best way to assemble mobile farms so that we can take them with us. I'm thinking potatoes, beets, carrots, parsnips, what have you. You'll find out what grows best and how we can keep the crops fertilized while on the road. I need you to make me I'm starting a long-term project called Let Them Eat Tubers.
I love it.
And since you're the only one with research, I'm calling on our medic. I don't think your wound will apply in this case, but Strash, it's your call whether or not that.
No, it does not. During downtimes in general, you can compensate for it unless it's something very obvious, like my arm is injured and I need you to use your arm to lift heavy things.
Yeah.
It's like,
so if you can give me a research roll,
Okay.
Raya,
Position.
it doesn't. You can say whatever you want. It's a fortune roll. So
Oh, it's a fortune roll.
yeah. So there's no bad outcomes. The better you roll, the more progress you'll make on this project. And I'm also sending our teams of laborers to help you. So they're going to be doing the physical work, and they're going to add 1 tick themselves. So
Okay. And I'm rolling 2 dice for my 2 research, correct?
yeah, if you just click on research, it should roll it.
Well, I clicked on roll fortune because.
Okay. No problem. The fortune was not
And
with
I
us.
rolled terribly.
it's
That's
okay. There's some hiccups. You folks are on the march and life is difficult. Making huge progress is unlikely. So Sean, your laborers will automatically do 1 tick because you have 1 laborers, correct?
Yep.
And in addition to that, Raya actually provides another tick. So go ahead and adjust the clock to 2.
There we go. Lethem tubers is up to 2 out of 4. Once this is complete, we'll have seasonal fruit at the end of every season, i.e. when the time clock fills, we will get a cartload of food made from these things. So those are my quartermaster actions. I do have one free play scene I want to do with my character, but I'll do that after when the time comes for that.
I think usually at this point is where we would advance, right? And we know that after the first mission, you must advance. So Jay will roll our advancement here. Do you want to do your free play before or after we advance?
We're probably making camp at. Well, no, I guess we had a camp before. Yeah, I'll do it. I'll do it before. That's fine.
In case you didn't notice, there is a handy dandy tiny little camp. Camp thing there. Actually,
oh, is that an icon? Are you going to move that around?
Yeah. Oh, and by am I going to move it around? What you actually mean is Jay going to move it around because I am not the commander.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I love this. This is gorgeous.
Production value. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. So, Officer Zionova. Sorry, Jen, I'm picking on you. All
That's
kinds. Officer Zionova finds Raya, and she looks and says, "How's your arm holding up?"
It's swollen and it's pretty sore, but you know, I'm still in one piece.
That's very glad for that. It was very valorous. It was very valorous of you to go and save the commander. Had she died, it would have been of great misfortune, but the mission would have still succeeded. But you saving her was very brave.
Thank you.
And it's real obvious that she's very uncomfortable with this.
Mm-hmm. I want to read a person, but that's not the right game.
Oh,
you actually, if you really want to, you can go ahead. During downtime, we don't make action rolls unless there is a serious risk. But the way that you study a person is you can roll some research unless you're trying to talk them out of it. Then maybe sway or consort might work. Whatever you think is appropriate, it's your action. But you can totally read a person in this game.
I would love to read this person.
Sure.
Go ahead, give a roll. And it doesn't matter, like you can do it as a fortune roll or you can do it as a skill roll. You can just set the position to controlled or something. It's fine. Ooh, a 4. So she gets some information, Sean.
Yeah, standard information. What's your question, Jen?
What are you not saying? Right? Like, you know, you've clearly sort of invented this reason to talk to me, and you're clearly not saying something.
Yeah.
Thing?
What I'm not saying is that I feel super guilty that I order the command to abandon you. But I was like everyone else, book the hell out of here.
Yeah.
Because and I think I'm getting there, but you might sense that that's going to happen and decide to cut it off or not. Like
I am. I think I'm like you. I kind of cut you off, and I'm like, you know, it's okay. Like, you know, we all did what we had to do, and we accomplished the mission. So there's nothing that you need to feel bad about.
Well, just the same. And Strash, I'm going to vent a little bit of Zemyati lore right now. The Zemyati massage and do physical therapy through a system of binding and compression. And they use like mesh to wrap their bodies up really, really tight so their muscles can relax and then they can kind of work on them. And Zionova takes out this thin sort of, it's made out of like some kind of plant matter, so it's kind of naturally sticky. This thin mesh, sort of adhesive mesh that normally would be used in this thing, but it's clearly been like cut to be smaller, and it's like sort of cut like punch, like there's a slit made in it And she sort of holds it out, and it kind of sticks to itself. It's kind of like saran wrap, it's sort of hard to pull out. But she says, just in the future, and Josh, I'm assuming that because I get fined luxury items, that I can say I have this. Is that fair?
Yeah, sure. Cool. Sounds great.
She sort of holds it out. She holds it out and says, if you don this, then next time maybe you won't have to remove your talismans. And the idea is it'll like sort of cling over your shoulders, and it'll be like a mesh. You can still see them through it, but it'll like hold it down. And clearly she's like destroyed this thing that she cared about, like, and it's not really nicely cut because she doesn't necessarily know how to, but it should go around your shoulders, and like your necklace and all this area will have this like thin mesh. And so she just sort of like holds it out kind of weakly, like,
I'm really excited about this. Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Oh, that just makes it even worse. And I think she sort of awkwardly puts it on you because you can't really, with your arm in a sling, it's probably really hard to like pull something over your head. Mm-hmm. So she's like, that way next time you don't have to make that hard decision. And that's my scene.
So you basically made kinesthesiology tape for
Yep.
Plus
KT tape. Exactly. I mean, it's
flirting, maybe. So it's fine. I said plus maybe subtext flirting.
Plus maybe. If so, very awkward flirting.
I love it. It's great.
It's everything I want from the Zymiati. Awkward flirting plus KT tape. Yes, let's go with that.
Yeah, I thought for a long time about why I would have some mesh.
Well, it's like somebody thanks you, and you're just like, oh, this makes it even worse. I was like, no, in character. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's. Does anybody else have a free play scene they want to do?
Nope.
If so, it's time to advance the Legion. So, traditionally, the Legion would advance by rolling pressure, but Zora is got this ability called Star of the Dawn, and what happens is she actually rides at the head of the Legion, and she like generates that halo and draws the sword of fire, and essentially like when the undead attempt to stop you folks from advancing, she like charges them first and like clears the path. So the power allows you to roll pressure always as if it were one lower. And in this case, that means that you'll roll pressure 0. So if you want to give me a fortune roll at 0 dice, Jay, that'll determine how much time it takes for you folks to advance.
All right. Is that on the commander sheet?
Yeah, actually, if you open any character sheet, like if you open like a character sheet, like an actual like playbook, and you look underneath the stats, it just says like roll fortune. You can just click on it, type in advance, give it 0 dice, and let it roll. There you go. So unfortunately, that's actually a very good roll even for 0 dice. So 0 dice, you take the lowest result. In this case, that's a 4. So you're going to get 2 ticks of time. It's going to take you 2 ticks of time to actually land at the Western Front, cross the Tigeria, and stabilize the whole Legion there. So go ahead and drag your little command tent over to the Western Front. And we'll talk a little bit about mission generation.
It's so cute.
It's really cute. I don't know why I'm getting like hung up on.
All right, you may have to change the Z order there to bring it to the front. Otherwise, I have to offset it.
I can
put it to the right.
Yeah, put a little to the right, and then let me see if I can 2 fronts. Go ahead.
There you go. Nice.
There we go.
Sweet.
Very slick.
So you can put it.
That's pretty clearly there. It's pretty clear that's not.
Yeah. It's fine. You put it on it. You can put it next to it. It's fine.
Okay.
So let me tell everybody a little bit about the Western Front.
Cool.
Is everything quiet?
No, not necessarily.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
I appreciate the pun though. So let me see if I can find the. Yes, 3 years ago, a big Aldermani battle against the Cinder King's troops happened here. And more recently, the armies of the Eastern Kingdoms had built their fortified camp structures here before advancing to Edinmark Fields. The main fortification of the front is the previous army's rear camp. At night, you can still see the orange reflection of the still burning city of Carlsberg, the old capital of Aldermark, on the clouds above it on the horizon. A few soldiers hold out behind makeshift walls, pits, and barricades, most barely holding it together, with a few having fully given up. There's a few days' worth of supplies remaining for the handful of people left in the fort, with lots of talk in the shadows of abandoning the camp entirely. In the surrounding areas, undead have been crossing the Tigeria in increasing numbers. They test the camp defenses under the cover of darkness, looking for a weakness to exploit. A brutal and cunning intelligence underlies their movements, looking to cut off your avenues of escape. So that's the story of the Western Front. Other things that are important to note: the only mission types that are available here are assault and recon. There's not a ton of good places to resupply. Its assets rating is 0 for the quartermaster, and the only place that you can advance is Plainsworth. Each location also has some special rules. And so the special rules for the Western Front is that the area remains marginally fortified and is a good place to regroup before pushing on. Whoops. Where's my special rules text? One moment. Let me see here. There is a there it is. When you advance, you add +1d to your pressure roll. The undead here are plentiful, and they move to cut off all paths of egress from the front. And the troops that remain at this fort are shell-shocked and have trouble processing what's going on. You can bring them along, but they're in no shape to fight. The quartermaster may make a 4-clock long-term project to feed and rehabilitate them. When it's complete, the marshal may add up to 5 rookies to the legion. So those are the 2 special rules for the Western Front. Now, I have already asked Jay this and made appropriate rolls, but we're going to go through it just so that everyone sees kind of how it works. This is where I, as the GM, perform my primary role, which is generating missions. And I say, Commander, what types of missions would you like to prioritize during this mission phase?
So I think I picked Westlake as our primary mission.
Wait, before we do that.
Before that was missions were generated.
Assault or recon as your mission types that you're looking for.
Gotcha. I went with recon. Recon
right.
is right.
So for those of you watching, there are 4 types of missions. The 2 that we really want to talk about right this second, you'll see additional ones once we hit Plainsworth, but the 2 that we want to talk about right now is assault missions, which raise morale and usually have targets like blowing up important undead resources or killing very large undead creatures. And recon missions, which are intel gathering missions. Now, those of you that are in Twitch, you have the exclamation mission command if you want to actually read the missions along with us. And this is where I would actually present a mission briefing to folks, but I'm only going to present the primary mission briefing here in a second. So Jay, do you want to tell us which mission you have selected as primary, which is the one that we're going to play through tonight, and which one you've selected as secondary, which is the one that we'll resolve with just an engagement roll, and then which one we're just not going to do and we're just going to take the penalty on?
Sure. I chose Westlake as our primary mission.
Western Light? Should be the top
Western Light. Yes, Western Light. Sorry.
Perfect. No problem. There is a Westlake on the map. I don't blame you. Continue.
Our second mission was, I'm trying to pull the email up. It was Emerald.
Emerald Peak?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember the third mission.
Viridian Citadel, but we can totally skip it. I'm gonna post the link here in our chat for our little video so that you have them handy to look at. So for those of you that are playing along in chat, I'm just gonna give the little mission briefing that we have here. We have chosen a wildly difficult mission. So in case you missed the description in Westlake, you can still see the orange glow from the city of Carlsberg burning. So
From
the capital
3 years ago, right?
Yeah, it's still on fire. So the Cinder King did something to it and lit it on fire, and it just hasn't stopped burning for a while. So yeah, the clouds are still shimmering with that orange glow of the flames inside it. There are those that mention that there is a place in the middle of Carlsberg where Render himself was broken, which is an entire city plots that is covered in nothing but soot, except for the body outline of Render on the ground, curled into a fetal position. And this is the 7-foot black armor clad monstrosity that destroyed hundreds of Legion members. So just bear that in mind. Operation Western Light. This is a recon mission, and I will point out that it has the tag of glory because anybody that pulls this off has done something super glorious, and Zora's super keen on that. Yeah, one of the more dangerous missions the Legion has ever proposed. Take only volunteers. Not everyone may make it back. A spy has sent a message indicating that Render has not yet forded the Tigeria. Tigeria is the very large river separating the western front from Edmark Fields and Carlsberg. Render has not himself yet forded the Tigeria. One of the units of his knights has a chapter house inside the old Ultramonte capital of Carlsberg. Rendezvous with the spy, infiltrate the chapter house, find information on his plans, tactics, and troop deployments. It's a 2-day hard march to the city. Carlsberg is well behind enemy lines, and the Legion cannot support you when you're that far out. It is a bold tactical decision, but the prize is also great. Be advised that our spy notes that these knights may still be living. So you may not just be facing undead here. So mission rewards, intel directly from the Black Oak leadership is invaluable, and it's worth 3 intel. And this is a mission of opportunity, so there's no penalty to skipping it. But of course, everybody chose to go on the super hard mission. So this is the point of the game where we ask Misha, who is being sent on this mission? And would you be so kind as to assemble and make the engagement roll?
Sure. So we are sending the Grinning Ravens on this mission because, burps. And I will always choose ravens whenever I have to. I even chose a raven-themed glass for tonight's.
Just so that everyone remembers, this was the crew that talked real big, and Jay's character
big
pointed
trash
out
talking.
big trash talking, and Jay's character pointed out that they will volunteer for the next mission no matter what it is.
Well, so
Continue.
Here they are.
Just saying, this might have a potentially have been them, selling wolf tickets that now they're having to cash. So our crew of Grinning Ravens, we have Crimson Rising Tide, Grey Wafting Smoke, Chevalier Ignacio Montoya, Marchioness Flavia Tarada, and Iranova Boreyevnovna.
Right. That's actually pretty good.
So those are our Grinning Ravens.
Gave you a little Grinning Ravens squad icon there.
Nice.
Good on.
Ooh, spiffy. Spiffy.
Extremely stiff.
Can't see it.
Oh, is it on the wrong layer?
No, it's there. It's my screen is a little bitty.
Oh, it's okay.
So yes, they are going to go.
All right, so I have one more shenanigan to do here. So I'm gonna grab a couple things real quick and do that.
What is
Wow.
It's troop movements for bad guys.
Oh.
So what you're looking at is red indicates Render's troops. Render himself is located in the city of Carlsberg. That's where the majority of his troops are still stationed. For those of you, the lore keeper told this story, so I will just remind everyone one detail. Render's line troop is people that they have large metal plates bolted into them. They're undead, but they're actually pretty armored. Consequently, they don't move too fast. They're not the fastest of the undead. They're durable. They're extremely fearsome, but they're not super quick. The green arrow indicates Blighter's movement. So the other two missions, Viridian Citadel and Emerald Peak both actually reference Blighter. Blighter somehow managed to ford the Tigeria in the north. She's taken over the town of Grachenheim, and the Legion had additional missions to either assault the town and break her fortified position, or to go through the mountains and try and find a path around that may allow them to do that. So Jay has chosen the Mountain Path scouting mission as the second mission, and we'll deal with that later. But this is just so that everyone understands sort of like the war story and sort of what the theater of war looks like. We actually see like the undead armies and like oceans, and I'll keep updating their paths and positions as time passes. So that's that. Cool. So, Misha, you're the marshal. Would you take it away with the engagement roll? Oh, wait. Which lists are going on the mission? You mentioned the rookies and the...
Yes. So... of our specialists, our medic, I think, needs a little more time to recover. Yes?
If she goes on the secondary mission, then there could be downside, but it's safer to send her on the secondary mission.
All right. So then Matali, our Cynic, our Barton Heavy. Cobalt Raging Blaze, our Panyar Scout. Sergeant Zayanova, our Zemyati Officer. And Contessa Victoria
you can only send 2 specialists
unless...
and a medic or a medic. So it's 2 specialists in a squad or a standard mission deployed. The medic is optional because they have an ability called Attaché that allows them to glom onto any mission, essentially.
Gotcha. Then I will choose for the recon mission our scout, who's Cobalt Raging Blaze, and
the sniper you just made is
the sniper. Yeah, is the other I would choose.
Okay, so the scout and the sniper and the ravens are going on the mission. Is that what I caught?
Yes.
And was that a yes or a no on the medic? Just real quick.
No on the medic. We'll send the
cool.
medic on the secondary.
Sounds good.
I just realized a complication. We may need to send the scout. You need either a scout or a sniper on each recon mission, and we're doing 2 recon missions.
Gotcha.
We may need to send one of them on the secondary mission. I mean, you don't need it, but we get a penalty on our engagement roll, and that engagement roll is everything on the secondary.
Gotcha. All right, then we will send the sniper on this one, and we'll send the scout on this one and the sniper on the secondary. Let's send the officer on the primary.
Okay.
Zainova?
That's actually super cool.
All right.
So Misha, you can do this however you want, but you can talk to folks, you can decide on your own, whatever, but it's also your job to say who's playing whom.
Yeah, you get to pick all the characters and be I want to play my character, or I want to play the character you made. Yeah, or
does anybody want to play a character they did not play last time?
I have to, but I'm cool with it, so it's fine.
Yeah, 2 of us will be playing rookies, no matter what.
Yes.
I have no preference.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll be a
all
rookie.
right. Then I will play the scout. Is that what I said? Yes. And Sean will play the officer. And then we have our crew of Raven rookies. I will let you choose which 2 you wish to play. Because I am a magnanimous marshal. As long as you stay on my good side.
Thank you, Marshall. You will get more XP for the scout if you send on this one, but the sniper has all their stress free. If you want stress battery, it's your character to play. So
True. Yeah, we don't actually play out the secondary mission, right?
Right. We just make one roll.
We'll swap that. We'll do the scout on the second and the sniper on the first. So, are all on the mission oath sworn to the Legion?
Yep.
Yeah.
Excellent. Did the commander spend an intel to give us foresight and intel? An info, sorry. Commander, did you spend intel to give us foresight and info?
I did if we have it.
You do not.
That's
start with 0. You're about to get some, but you start with 0.
Is everyone on the mission a specialist or soldier? No, alas. We have 2 rookies.
We have the whole squad, right? We have.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're all rookies, so not soldiers. Does any soldier distrust or not fear the leadership enough to obey orders on the battlefield? I'm going to say no, because they're rookies, so they shouldn't be that bad.
No. This usually is a question that comes up after
Later.
something happens.
Okay.
You'll see it after command sends people into disastrous missions. It's just
Gotcha. Are any required specialists or equipment not on the mission? That is no. This is a scouting mission. So, did the quartermaster spend horses to equip the mission?
So, Marshall, I have a question.
Sure.
Where would you like me to send the horses? We have 2 recon missions and only so many horses. I could send it on either one. For this mission, we get to play out. So if we roll and we roll poorly, we have to play our characters through it. The other mission, it's just an engagement roll. I could spend it on both, but then we're very low on horses. How are you feeling about our odds right now, Marshall?
We're at. Let's send them on this one.
Okay.
Is anybody starting with a heavy load?
I'm going to say no.
Yep, I am not. All right, so then we have...
All right, so I'm going into the quartermaster sheet, and I'm going to spend a horse on this one. I may spend it on the other one, too.
That's up to you. The marshal doesn't get to govern the quartermaster's expenditures.
Right.
But...
We're collaborating.
No, you should. You should definitely collaborate. If you don't, it gets nasty real fast.
Well, here's the thing, is that normally I would totally this is a metagame thing. Normally I would probably not spend horses on a primary mission because I'm like, well, whatever position we're in is fine. But this mission is going to be rough. And not starting it desperate is worth the horses, I think.
We only have 1 other die so far, so we kind of want that second
Also,
die.
mechanically, it's a 2-day walk. So I'm going to say that within the narrative, there's a reason to say, like, we might be able to do it faster if we're on horseback, right? Like,
I will accept that.
You know, so yeah, it's a lot to spend, but I think it's worth it. So yeah, spending them horses.
So we have 2 dice.
Yeah, we do. That's about as good as we're gonna get.
Yep.
That's actually a pretty decent engagement roll for Band of Blades.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get without special abilities and yada yada yada. It's pretty hard to get any higher.
There's ways to build for it, but it's really hard.
Yeah. Well, once we have
normal. Two is actually pretty good. Usually you get 1 die and you see what the face inside. So.
Yep.
All right. So, what am I clicking on to actually roll?
Just do a fortune roll for 2 dice.
All right.
Off of any character sheet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
For notes, is that 2? Not 32. That would be a lot more.
Yes.
4. Risky position.
Yes.
Awesome.
It's not desperate.
That second time is worth it.
Yeah. So let's let me show you let me do a thing.
What?
Oh man, what is this?
What? And what are those little numbers? What is that?
There's a legend in the bottom right. You can
A legend. What?
You're a legend.
Actually, a lot of praise should go to my other half of Off Guard Games, John LaBeouf Little. I've been wildly busy this week, and this is actually John's work. So if any praise, I'll take the praise, but it's not actually truly mine. So John actually jumped in because I was like, I can't make it, buddy, and he's like, I got you. So
thank you, John.
John's in chat right now.
Yeah.
You can all give him some love. All right, I'm trying to zoom in, and as usual, roll 20 is being a butt.
That's okay.
So
Take
everyone-
your time.
everyone in
But
chat, you're
this
getting-
is where I started talking to you folks. So if you remember, as part of the mission briefing, there was a scout, a spy. There is a spy master in the fiction, even though you folks are not playing the spy master. So I think it's actually a Panyar woman. Because I'm gonna go with the canonical one because why not? There's a Panyar woman who has serpent markings on the backs of her hands, and she shows up and she actually spoke to the command staff. And when you folks decided to actually do the mission, she sent a bird out. And as you folks were approaching the city, you saw a smoke flare go up inside it, where the spy basically set off like a "I was here" or "I am here" kind of like marker. And so for those of you looking at the map, the actual the signal flare is number 11, which is right around the center of town. Now, there's a catch there. So the north half of town is mostly occupied by Render's troops, and the south half of town is actually more densely populated by others, and the center of town has a very high population of undead. So this is where I look at all of you before I tell you what the risky position is, and I say, how are you folks getting into town? How are you approaching this? So an officer was sent on this mission, which means that usually I would say, Misha, since you're the marshal, you get to decide who's in charge of the mission. But whenever you place an officer on a mission, whoever is the officer gets to be in charge of the mission. So Sean, you're stuck, and you get to tell me how are you folks getting into town? What's the rough plan here? Go ahead, Jay.
Right.
Oh no, he's the officer, so I'm assuming he has to answer. So
I mean, I'm not saying you can't contribute here. So, I have an idea, but okay. So, Strush, it was considered relatively remarkable that Blighter forded the river, right?
At the speed that she did, yes.
Okay.
She has horrors, and they're pretty big. Like, they weigh a lot. So somebody did some architectural voodoo that's like a lot faster than people anticipated, because the undead tend to solve things with brute force and stubbornness more than they do with like cleverness and technical know-how. So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So the Breaker, however, is known for having very heavily armored troops, and we haven't seen him ford any rivers. So I'm wondering what the waterways are like. I think we may be...
Before we start, I forgot one step.
Yes.
Jay, you have some intel questions, and even at Intel 0, you can ask.
Yeah.
You can ask a question.
Thank you.
Do you have those? Do you have the book handy by any chance?
I do.
Awesome. So the commander questions should be on page 121.
Okay.
And the 0 intel questions are in the top left-hand corner.
121?
Mm-hmm.
Zoom. There it is. Okay. Okay, there it is. Beautiful. I'm glad you remembered that.
Yeah, me too.
What are 2 approaches we could use here on a mission?
Awesome. How handy that you ask that. So the two approaches that you could possibly try here are you could either do like a river approach, where you essentially like get in a boat and try and slip by a lot of the defenses by just like letting it float downstream. So many people have died in like the surrounding areas that it's not super hard to find a boat in any direction. Now there's a downside to this, because you have to go actually to the west, because most of the rivers in here flow into the Tigeria eventually.
Okay.
So you'd have to circle the town and then come back into it, which makes it awkward for getting your horses on the way out.
Right.
That's the downside of that. The other thing that you could try to do is I'm gonna point with a little arrow here. Actually, let me see if I can find a different color. Oh, that's because it's set on my color. There we go. That should work now. There we go. Can you see the giant red arrow?
I do not.
I do not.
All right, let me see if I can switch to How about now?
Ah,
Yes,
yes.
now we
Yeah.
can.
Excellent. I was on the wrong layer. That explains it. All right. So over here, this is mostly farmland, as is this region over here. This is city proper, right? And these things are like city walls. This is actually the inner city wall. It's like where the keep and Carl lived in this area over here. So one of the things that you can do is actually try and come up through the farmland and look for some one of the positions on the outskirts and actually do forays into town from there afterwards.
Mhm.
So those are the two approaches you can do. The farmlands they have patrols, but you can see them from a distance out. This is not a heavily forested region to the south. There's more wooded areas to the north. But you can actually, like, as long as you're going slowly and your scouts are observing, you can like sneak towards like the outskirts of town and be the equivalent of suburbs, like as you're heading in. Those are two approaches.
All right. Thank you, Commander. So Officer Zayanova says we're going to need our horses on the way out. We may very well be hauling ass, and we don't want to have to backtrack. We're going to go up to the farmlands. The undead, we saw last time that soldier Mendabar released a horse that had been left alone in the stables. The undead clearly don't have interest in animals. Our horses may not be endangered if left alone. And therefore, we should hopefully be able to get back to them when we retreat. I want us to, of course, approach cautiously and try to find a place that we can, a base that we can dig into. And therefore, if we need to make multiple recon missions, we can fall back to that.
Awesome. So, in good news, this is eerie, right? Because you folks are riding towards this town, and there's this this almost like pillar of smoke coming up from it, right? Like, it's not that the smoke is super dense, like the fire is super active. It's just that it happens so much that it's like layered itself, that there's always this constant haze about town. And as you're riding towards it, it is creeptastic, because you folks you're used to the Eastern Kingdom. So when you approach a large city, there's like outskirts, there's all sorts of people that live in the shadows of the walls. There's bazaars. You see people bringing carts to trade. Even driving through farmland, you'll see like lots of wildlife and like animals everywhere and things like that. And here it's all quiet. The houses sometimes have broken windows. Every once in a while you see something like, there's one point where you see a large blackened tree with bodies stuck on its branches. Keep well clear of that one. And yeah, like it's a lot of like real cautious riding and a lot of glancing and a lot of like seeing, like, this is now summer and obviously crops have been planted because they, surprise, Cinder King was not part of everyone's plans. Every once in a while you see like that hip waist wheat with undead like looking around it, or like you'll see some like crouched on scarecrows observing the countryside. You largely avoid them, and you sort of approach the city. Like, is your plan to set up your base camp just outside or just inside the city walls?
Just outside. I want to be in the farmlands where we can leave the horses, and presumably they'll look to undead. Hopefully they'll be unnoticed. To the living, they'll look like horses hanging around and in the wood, in the farmland rather than in the city.
All right, cool. So I'm just gonna point
south of 5 probably.
Yeah, it's somewhere in this region that you folks find. I'm gonna say that it's a former inn that's in still relatively decent shape. Like, it doesn't look like it itself has burned significantly at all. And the reason that you select it is you can there's a place to stable your horses nearby. Like, there's like a stables in the back that is somewhat hidden out of view, so like your horses aren't just like obviously in front in the street.
Nice.
And also the bottom floor can be cut off for the most part. Like, you can barricade like the staircase so that you don't get like surprise undead in the morning. In any case, this is where we push forward, and I tell you, what is your plan for actually like getting past the city wall and heading towards where the signal flare is?
What is our plan for getting past the signal wall?
City wall, yeah.
City wall. I mean, I think we have to see what their like guard level is looking like. I assume that it's not very high because it's not like anyone's ever come in here. But nevertheless, we're going to try and monitor their whatever guards they take, and then find a hole in that and poke through. In terms of how we're actually going to get there, none of us are on heavy load, so I'm expecting that we're keeping real low and then belly crawling our way in to the actual city itself, staying underneath, out of sight, like in the brush.
So the city wall proper is as you approach it, you see like the gates, and the gates are shattered apart. It looks like some incredible force hit them and like melted them forward, right? And you remember stories that 3 years ago, the Cinder King himself knocked on the doors of Carlsberg. You thought that it was a metaphor, but you're not really sure anymore because it looks like the metal's still glowing, and that's not normal. So yeah, go ahead.
So I noticed the waterways, they kind of run right by where the signal flare is.
Yeah, they do.
Right? I don't know how well developed the city is. Maybe we could take advantage of the waterways. Maybe there's some tunnels or...
probably pipe drains, that kind of stuff.
Right, that we could, from the waterway into and bypass.
I am all a fan of the, like, we belly crawl up to stay real low into the bush, then we get to the waterway, we get into the water, and find the like water level that's just above, that's low, that we can march through. Yeah, I'm all for it.
Cool. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Awesome. When are you doing this? What time of day?
Do we know when the undead are most active?
Undead are active 24/7, but as far as you know, they don't have non-inhuman eyesight unless they're a specific kind of undead. Like they don't have like special senses. So like when you see like a shambler, like if you see a burned, which is one of Breaker's normal troops, which basically look like people that have wild hair and like their bodies look like they've been blackened. So like when you see them, they shamble about, but like they have eyes and they have ears, right? So like for the most part, it looks like they're looking. Like if you're right behind them, they don't just like magically know you're there. So going in at night will make it more difficult for you to spot them, but also more difficult for them to spot you. If you go in during the day, you'll have an easier time spotting them, but they will be able to see you at normal human distances. So like down the road and stuff.
Right.
What I will tell you is that they outnumber you by a ridiculous margin. Like there's thousands in here.
Yes. So while we may not see any individual one of them, we're going to see the masses of them better than they're going to see the few of us. So we're going to go in. I think we're going to go in right like at dusk when the setting sun and the I know what we're going to do. Which way is west?
Nice.
All right. I don't know which way you pointed. Show me.
Oh, it's left. It's the north should be straightforward. It's like up, right?
Okay.
Standard map formatting.
All right. So we're gonna bank. We're gonna actually go up and sort of bank left. We're gonna bank west, and then we're gonna enter from the west side of 5.
Okay, so you're planning on going this route. Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna go in at dusk when the sun is behind us. So anybody looking at us is gonna be looking into the sun.
All right, cool. So yeah, you folks actually have a little bit of a hike to prep, and then you're gonna probably drop this direction and go that way.
Exactly.
All right, cool. So this is the scenario. You folks, you drop into the river. You're staying to the banks. I have to tell you that it's a little bit like the Seine in France, which is to say that the river is actually in a channel, and there's like cobbles alongside the sides.
Mm-hmm.
There's oftentimes like little staircases that go down to like where the normal river level is. You can see markings on the walls, like sometimes the river rises. but like in general, like the river's a little inset, right? Like it's not obvious. It's not like ground level for everybody. So yeah, you folks drop down, and you're like walking along like the very edge. The river is somewhat deep. It's not like, hundreds of feet or some nonsense, but it's really not like shallow. It's pretty deep. So like you can walk along the walkways and you can like sort of like pull yourself along the sides, but it's not real steady more than a foot or two past the bank.
Mm-hmm.
So you're doing this, and you're actually getting pretty far along, which is you're right around here, roughly where the bridge is and everything, and then you actually see a unit of troops on the bridge above you, right? And they haven't noticed you. Are you folks familiar with what a Heartless is?
I mean, Sean is, but why don't you tell us for the audience at home?
Awesome. So there is a unit of about 10 people total. One of them is clearly in charge. It's maybe like 10 to 12 feet tall, and it has this strange, overlarge metal helm made out of this black metal, and it has chainmail from its hips down, like as almost like a skirt. So it tinkles when it walks, and it's got two massive, like overlarge axes on its back, but its chest, like right down to like about the belly button, from like the neck to the belly button, is bare, and it's got a huge hole where its heart should be. It's called a Heartless, literally. Like that's what the soldiers named them. There's no formal name for them. It's not like someone has like a nomenclature or classification that is popularized yet. But it's walking on the bridge with about half a dozen of those metal-plated render troops. And on its hips, it has a belt. And off of that belt, there's chains. And these chains are attached to people that have had their eyes sewn shut. And they seem to be sniffing the air and walking on all fours. They've got like spikes and stuff driven into them. Yeah. So they haven't noticed you. You folks are like below the bridge, like at the water level. And like, as you're advancing, like they're above you. So like, this is a very dangerous place to make a hell of a lot of noise, because like there's this whole unit ready to pounce. And for the most part, it seems to be fine until you realize that your path forward is covered in bodies. Like someone has created an artificial dam in the river. And my question to you is, how do you want to get past it? Because like that's kind of where the route leads. This is your risky position, just in case it was unclear from the engagement roll.
I have a clarifying question.
Mm-hmm.
You say that the waterway is filled with bodies.
Yeah.
Is the water still enough that there's not caught that? Like, what's the effect? Is the water trying to flow, and therefore
the bodies and goes over them for a bit? But there's enough that you can actually see them like kind of rippling inside / above the waves a little bit.
Right.
So, like as the water hits it, it goes over, and you're guessing that they're not like a perfect dam, so like it might slip through in the middle regions as well. But it's not moving real fast. It's kind of super sluggish here.
Yeah, right. So it's not a super tight fit. That is what you're saying. There's
Correct.
Some wiggle room in there. The water is still flowing. It's just having to make its way through cracks.
Yep.
Awesome.
Those cracks are people.
Yeah, those cracks are spaces
made of people. Yes.
Yeah.
What's the plan?
I think first I throw up. Then.
No, don't breathe. The hounds notice us on our breath, so we should all hold our breath.
Yeah, we should hold our breath.
Which we probably want to do for the smell anyway.
And okay, so here's the thing of water or anything flowing is that when it goes through narrow spaces, it has to go faster. That's when you're spraying a hose and you pinch it, it sprays fluid dynamics, right? So what that means is that the small spots where the water is slipping through the bodies is actually where the water is going the fastest as it's squeezing through, and the top is just sort of trickling. So that's where we're going to go. We're going to go underneath, and we're going to just try and push our way through. We're going to hold our breath, and we're going to hope that this dam is not too deep, like that it's just a pile of them and not like going on and on and on and on and on. Because if it was going on and on and on and on, I think the water would just stop. Like it wouldn't have been able to make it through. We would see it building up. Eventually, enough bodies would just stop it. So the advantages of going underwater are the hounds can't smell us breathe. We don't make a lot of noise. We're not visible. That's about it. Everything else is bad. All the rest of these things are terrible.
Out of curiosity, does there happen to be a bell tower nearby?
Let's make a fortune roll. There are a fair number of churches in Carlsberg. The Aldemani are known for their somewhat, serious adherence to religion. So I'll give it 2 dice. Let me take a quick look. Survey says
5.
Yeah, there's 5 means yes, there's a bell tower within sight.
Sir, we could distract them a bit and maybe throw them off our scent. I could totally hit that bell from here. Sir?
I'm listening. Are you objecting to the plan?
No, I'm just trying to give us an additional assistance with the plan.
I see. I appreciate it. My concern is any noise that we make is going to alert them that something is different. Are there ambient noises right now, Josh? Is there sounds of animals, the fire burning? Like, what's the level of ambient noise?
The air is hazy, so they can't see you super clearly at any distance. You see the occasional piece of ash, like snow, falling through the air. As you get above the river level, like the ash becomes cinders, so you'll see like a glint of red fire floating. It's kind of impressive that Isha, are you playing the scout?
Yes.
Well, it's not that impressive because your scout is super keen-eyed, but it is actually kind of impressive that the scout picked out a bell tower out of this.
Sorry, sniper,
right?
not scout.
Sniper. Well, even better.
Yeah.
But there is some noise. It's not significant though. I would call it like background ambient noise. Like you'll hear the clink, clink, clink of the metal plates and the shh of that like metal skirt behind the Heartless as it like paces the bridge. Clearly its orders were like to hold this position.
Yeah. So Zainova looks at you and says, do you think you can hit the bell on the edge so it clinks rather than dongs? And you hit it dead on, and that's going to make a noise that they would not normally hear. Make a loud blink. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. You are playing
Azzurro.
Azzurro, yeah.
Odds are good.
Okay. Yeah. Zainova nods. She knows you know what you're doing.
So, Misha, do you want to make the shot? Like, how do you want to make the shot? What action do you want to use?
So I'm gonna sneak a little bit away from the group, so the sound of the gun going off is not going to bring them down right on top of our heads. And I'm going to use sharpshooter.
Oh, okay. I was gonna ask. I mean, this bell is a significant distance away, but you're like, yeah, I have an Ori machine sniper rifle and I'm a sharpshooter. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. Hello.
All right.
So yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Cool. So I think what I'm gonna say is you're gonna fire this and give me a roll. This roll isn't gonna be whether you hit or not because you're a sharpshooter. You hit the bell.
Right.
This is a roll to see how well you actually split them, right?
Okay.
Because there is a chance that the undead are just like, cool, bell rang, let's go where that shot came from, you know? So like you might just get the unit on you, or they might split in half and like some of them may go after bell, or all of them may go after bell. I don't know. So why don't you give me a roll? It's gonna be risky. And let's see what kind of outcome this ends up being.
Any particular skill?
Well, action. You tell me. Technically, the players declare.
Okay.
The two that I can see being most likely here are either shoot, which you'll have a slightly like worse, like position or whatever. But like the one like when you deceive or distract people, you usually will sway. So like either or is fine. Like if you tell me like I want to use shoot to distract him, I'll be like, yeah, you explain your plan. It's pretty reasonable. You're probably better at shoot. I know you start with you shoot.
Yeah, I also have. Sure, we'll go shoot.
Go for it. You want to push yourself because I believe the ability that you picked is a push ability, right?
I can push myself to do one of the following: make a range distract at extreme distance beyond what's normal for the I can talk. Weapon.
So if you do that, you'll get +1d, and you'll be able to like hit a bell tower that's like across the river.
Okay.
No problem.
Nice.
So risky.
Mm-hmm.
And effect.
We'll say standard for now.
All right.
You get a 4 to 5. That may put you in a bit of a position, but we'll see.
That's
all right, 4 to 5. So here's the good news: you do it. Here's the bad news: you don't do it super great. So I think what I'm gonna say is, you managed to distract the unit, but the Heartless that's on the bridge, like the moment the shot rings out, right? Like there's that ding, and you actually see some of its troops like be like and start turning. But its head like immediately swings like through the mist and everything, like right where the shot came from. It like reach down and like let loose like those chains that are on its hips, and the hounds like dash forward. So we're gonna deal with you here in a second. We're gonna switch to the rest of the group. That unit above just like takes off. Some of them are going left, some of them are going right. Where they're not going is right on top of you. What do you folks want to do?
We're taking our sniper's lead, and we're going forward. I mean, we're not gonna waste this. I think that the plan changes though. If they bolt, then we're just gonna, hoof it over those bodies, right? We're gonna stay in the water, but we don't need to do this intricate, like, real slow dig through body if they've all bailed. I think we're just gonna swim up to them and then climb over them. Rather,
it sounds like a maneuver.
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, you get to declare the action. I'm just inferring from your fictional description.
Yeah, it just seems more applicable that we can go faster now that we don't.
That's fine. If you wanted to have somebody like wreck through them, that makes sense. If you want to try and scout to be all sneaky, that's also possible. I was just trying to figure out exactly how maneuver. Okay, group maneuver. So I believe. So the rules are if the officer is having a group action with the rookies, then either of the rookies may champion for the squad, and just so instead of picking up stress for everybody, you only pick up stress for the squad once. So whichever one of you rookies has a better maneuver should be the it's called the corporal rule. You should be the corporal for the squad for the moment.
Yeah, who's playing who? Like I know we know the specialist roles, but
great question.
Right. There's 5 grinning ravens. You're gonna play each gonna play one of them. We should. I think all we know about them is their heritages.
Right.
Yeah. I think I want to play the Orite rookie.
Okay.
I'll take one of the Panyar.
Awesome.
Gray Wafting Smoke.
Ooh, that's an awesome name.
I know, right?
Thank you, Risha. Why don't you stat that pioneer out real quick, and maybe they're gonna be good at.
What do I get to do with stats?
Whatever you want. The rookie rules are the same as any other creation rules. You select a heritage, you get 2 heritage traits. You're going to get 4 dots to put wherever you want, and then you're ready for action.
Sweet.
Rookies all start with maneuver, so feeling good.
Well,
about
they start
this.
with 1 dot of maneuver.
Yeah, but they don't start with any dots.
And you get an ability. And if you want more dots, you can always take Jack of all trades. If you want something else, rookies have great abilities.
They do.
Rookies start with a dot in skirmish, maneuver, and sway.
They do. I will tell you that having some scout on this mission may not be the worst idea in the world.
Yes.
Probably not.
All right. I'm going through and just changing them all to be, because by default they have nothing in their playbook. So, someone already did it.
You just.
Uh-oh. Now my thing looks all weird.
And you said
if you close it and reopen it, it should just work.
Okay. And you said they start with 1 maneuver?
You don't have to do that part. It'll rookie, as soon as you type in rookie, it puts in 1 skirmish, 1 maneuver, 1 sway.
Gotcha.
That, and then you get to add 4 more.
Right.
Hey, look at that.
And we get 1 ability, special ability?
Yep. The only one you can't take right away is not a rookie anymore because you are a rookie. I know.
So looking in the book, I'm going to go with the criminal template for this rookie.
Okay, that sounds good. Using templates for the book is highly recommended.
Yeah.
It is a quick and efficient way to make a character.
Yes, it is.
Awesome. So what are you taking dots in?
He'll have 2 in scout, 1 more in sway, making his sway 2.
Okay, cool.
1 in shoot, and then he has hard knocks.
All right. What's hard knocks do? Mark 2
Extra
XP
XP if you take harm.
Take level 2 harm. Okay. There we go. And you gave him Traveler and Shrewd?
Right. Shrewd is +1 die to insight resist. Okay. Cool. I have to remember that. And Traveler, fast and quiet in normal load.
Nice.
And so I guess that means he's
effectively in light
fast
load.
and quiet.
All right. How about you, Jen? How's our?
I have no idea. I was looking for the book, and now I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. I'm distracted. I'm just gonna put dots in because that makes sense to me. I'm gonna do a scout. I'm gonna do a wreck. I am gonna do tinker. And I'm going to do another scout because that seems helpful.
Okay.
And then for ability, I'm totally taking ready for anything.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I have to do for this character, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, I was banking on. I'm gonna revise a little. I'm gonna retcon myself a tiny bit. I was banking on rookies that were more hustlers and less sneakers. So
sorry.
No, that's fine. It's all good. We're gonna stick with this. So instead of hustling over, we're gonna be very carefully picking our way through, watching the squads, and as soon as they move, then we're gonna be signaling to each other and move over, a couple at a time. And we were gonna scout instead, because we got a bunch of good scouts. I think both actions still make sense.
All right. You're leading the group action, Sean?
I am.
All right. I run through some scout dice.
Got so many characters. What's our position in effect?
Risky standard. It feels you'll understand the risk here in a hot second.
Well, I'm looking slightly askance because I'm wondering if our sniper just did a setup action for us to improve that.
The risk is not coming from the people on the bridge.
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool.
Is it coming from the dead people we're climbing over?
I don't know. Roll good.
Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky.
I will neither confirm nor deny that fact.
All right. Here we go.
I got a 6.
Nice.
So there.
Good job.
Neener.
I'm just rolling
Jen,
maneuver, right?
saving the day with the sneaky rookie.
I did not get a 6.
You did not.
I'm stressing myself out climbing over these bodies.
Well, you're about to be super stressed. We'll see how the rookies save you.
And the position was risky, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the best way to handle light obstacles. Roll real good. Exactly. Just okay.
Awesome. So Jay doesn't provide stress. You stress yourself out. But let me tell you why you're stressed out. And then Jay and Jen will tell us how they saved the day.
Yes.
So Sean, are you first up that wall of bodies?
Yeah, I lead from the front, right?
Awesome. Yeah,
So-
you should do until one of the hands inside the wall grabs your leg. And then you see several of the bodies being like heading right for you, right? Like standard zombie movie stuff. And the water is lapping on your legs. You're trying not to scream. There's bodies reaching for you, half asleep. Like, are you delicious?
I've got my shield on my back, and I'm trying to like get it off so I can like use my shield.
But
it's like tied on, and I'm like, and I can't quite get to it. And I'm on top of bodies, and I'm now afraid that any of them are just going to come alive. And yeah, it is definitely like retching underwater. Like
Jen, how do you save the commander from this awful predicament?
Jay, you should roll one more die in case you rolled maneuver, but your scout is too.
Gotcha.
I mean,
I was gonna say, like, what I want to do is I want to start like take something heavy and start smacking the limbs of the dead people who are grabbing at the officer.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, the dead still have muscles and bones, right?
They
like
do. Did you bring a soldier's kit or a cooking kit or something?
Sure. I hadn't picked anything out yet, so
you should. It's okay, but yeah.
Yes, I would have brought a cooking kit, I think, for sure.
Awesome. So you can totally slice through some tendons with like a giant chef's knife that probably shouldn't use to cook again with, but you know.
Nope. Yep.
I mean, if we need a fire to clean it, there's plenty of them.
Awesome. So yeah, so you know, you're just quietly like a ghost. You're pulling the commander and just cutting arms, like the tendons out of these arms, like at the elbow.
Oh,
I like that it's like not like a swift. It's not like a quick action either. It's like sawing away. Like I'm sitting there getting pulled under, and you're like, I got you. You know, it's got to take some time.
So Jen, I have to know, how does this remind you of cooking?
Oh God. It doesn't remind me of cooking. It reminds me of butchering, which is the thing that my family did, right?
Awesome, good to know.
I have like cut up cows, and
you can totally put that as a note in your character bio.
I'm just saying,
I just became a vegetarian.
A chicken's anatomy is not that different from a human's anatomy. Just putting this out.
When it comes to muscles and things, yeah.
I mean, the joints are roughly the same. Just, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you folks are gonna get right through. You managed to save your officer from being slowly clutched and held underwater by undead.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to do anything terrifying. They just got to hold you, and that seems to be the whole plan.
Right. It's just to hold on until.
But your unit gets past this risky engagement roll. Good job.
Nice. Yeah. Zainova looks to Martinez, Flavia. Oh my goodness. I can't. Your whole name isn't in the.
Tirana. Flavia Tirana.
Tirana. Yeah. Tirana. And she looks as you're like cutting away at this thing, and it's like equal. It's like you can't tell whether she's looking in horror at the zombie holding onto her foot or the deafness by which you saw through its tendons. But
both is good.
But
both is a thing.
When she is free and scrambles over, the look changes from horror to incredible thanks. You know, her eyes go very thankful.
Awesome. So Misha, let's zoom in on your character here, and I'm sorry, I have to be a little lean here.
No worries.
So I think that most, like, you see that Heartless and a couple of the slab covered undead marching at you, but they're not super scary at you, right? They're on the bridge still. They're moving towards you, but they're moving at like a walking pace. They're not like, booking it in some way that your life is in jeopardy. On the other hand, the things that the undead released off of those chains, the undead that had their eyes sewn shut, they released this horrifying baying sound, and they're running on all fours, booking at you at some like pretty impressive velocity. As a matter of fact, like when they come off the bridge, like one of them like jumps and like takes like 2 or 3 steps sideways on a building. It's one of those classic shots where there's smoke, you see some cinders, and you see these things leaping, and like you see the actual like pieces of smoke like leaving little swirls in their wake. How are you dealing with this coming at you? Are you gonna just like drop weapons and run? Are you gonna try and shoot them? What's the plan here?
Well, you don't drop your gun. It's
of course not. You're a sniper. Yes, that's like a dead set.
No. That's like bad luck. How far away are they?
I would say like maybe 50 feet, like 100 feet.
Okay.
Like it's not, they're not on top of you, but they're closing distance fast. Like,
gotcha.
It's a question of seconds. It's not a second, but it's like, that we're not talking like minutes of time here.
Okay. So then, I probably don't have time to shoot them all, so I'm gonna run and try to scurry up to a higher position from which I can then shoot them.
All right, sounds plausible. So is what I'm hearing a maneuver roll?
Yeah, probably.
Awesome. So you're scanning some buildings. Are you looking for like a building, like to jump up like through a window, or are you looking for like a lamppost? What's the plan here?
Something they're less likely to be able to climb. So
can you give me a suggestion?
Ideally it would be like, hey, there's like 3 hops and I'm on a roof kind of thing, but you gotta like be able to make those 3 hops like properly.
If you can make the hops, they can make the hops is the problem.
Yeah. Not if I knock the hops over as I'm going. So like a rickety set of barrels that if I, as I'm going, this is gonna screw them up and or knock a ladder over, or there we go. We're looking for a ladder that I'm then gonna knock over so they can't climb up after me.
Yeah, you totally see some rainwater barrels that might allow you to get to a roof. That might buy you a couple seconds. They'll probably find an alternate path up, but you can definitely kick the barrel over as you go up. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
All right, awesome.
So risky standard?
Yeah. Might get desperate here in a hot second. Puns intended.
Yeah, all right. Do I want to push myself here?
I mean, worst case scenario, you're gonna have to make a desperate shoot. That might be where you want to push yourself. Just saying.
Yeah. 3.
That's a failure.
Yep.
It's fine. You don't die or anything. I think you jump on a barrel and you like jump up to the roof and you kick the barrel out, and you land, you tuck, you roll, you come up, you're bringing your sniper rifle out, and then you watch the first one of them just like jump all fours, like the fingers like latch into the wall and just like leaps off and lands on the roof next to you. Second one is coming up the pad, but you're just like, I had a plan. It didn't quite work out.
Nope.
So at this point, you're staring at this thing, and it's like feet away. What do you plan to do?
Shoot it in the face.
Awesome. So you lever your sniper rifle. You get your sights in. You see this thing jump, and we should take a break.
Nice.
Clever.
Awesome.
I'll watch the time.
See how this goes. All right, we'll be back in a few.